Now, I don't know about your week, but I got to tell you, mine has been a blur of activities centered around watching my daughter take the oath of office to be the 47th governor of Arkansas. Now, for me, it really sank in when I was sitting in the House chamber and the oath was administered, and I realized that she had just assumed an office that I had the privilege of serving for almost 11 years as the 44th governor. There was a whirlwind of inaugural activities for several days, culminating in the inaugural ball on Tuesday night. But what a surreal experience. I would say it's a genuine affirmation to see an offspring decide to continue in the family business, but it isn't the family's business. It's the people's business. It really is. And I'm proud of her because she's off to a great start. And on her very first day, she signed executive orders to ban teaching critical race theory in public schools. If you're not familiar with it, it's a crazy nonsense philosophy that teaches that America is bad and inherently racist. She also signed an executive order that prohibited the use of the non-word Latinx that refers to Hispanics or Latinos. Now, she did it in part because they hate the word more than anybody. And she put a hiring and pay freeze on state government to get budget and personnel under control. Well, I've been asked probably 1,000 times if I'm proud of her. The obvious answer is, of course, yes. But look, I'm proud of all three of my children equally. It's just that for whatever reason, she's chosen to take on a job that'll put her every word and every move under intense public scrutiny. She'll do well. And while my friend Sean Hannity tells me every time I talk to him that she'll be a much better governor than me, my honest response is, I sure hope he's right. I really do. Nothing would please me more. Now, while that story occupied my time and focus, it was revealed this week that President Biden had kept some classified documents that ended up at some nebulous think tank at the University of Pennsylvania called the Penn Biden Center, as well as in his personal garage next to his Corvette. You remember this summer when 27 heavily armed FBI agents swooped in on Mar-a-Lago, former President Trump's home, and they grabbed documents that the Biden administration and the Attorney General thought were so sensitive that they had to be rounded up right now. They even went through Melania's clothes closets, their son Barron's room, and all of the former president's personal spaces, including taking his passport. And then for a while, they denied they'd even done it till they had to hand it back to him. There were no pre-dawn raids on President Biden's personal property at his Delaware beach house by armed FBI agents. No rummaging through Jill Biden's clothes. Heck, they still don't seem at all interested in the contents of Hunter's laptop, which confirmed not only rampant drug use and sordid activity with prostitutes, but which revealed details of the shady business deals that Hunter had with Russian oligarchs and Communist Chinese Party officials, in which Joe Biden, now the president, is said to be getting his cut of 10% as the big guy. The documents that Biden had illegally kept were actually discovered November the 2nd. Now, that date's important because that was 6 days before the midterm election. But this whole bit of information was kept under wraps and not disclosed until President Biden was far away in Mexico for meetings just this last week. Attorney General Merrick Garland even had the unmitigated gall to announce a special prosecutor to look into Trump's documents at the very time that he already knew that President Biden had kept classified documents from his time as vice president. Unlike President Trump, Joe Biden, as vice president, did not have the authority to declassify any of the documents. Merrick Garland appointed a special prosecutor to look into Biden's issues, but only after several additional sets of illegally kept documents kept turning up this week. I'll tell you, it's so blatantly bad that even CNN and MSNBC are covering the story. That's how bad it is. which is proof again that there are two standards of justice operating in this country right now, one for Joe Biden and the Democrats in power, and a completely different standard applied to conservatives. I think it's time for Merrick Garland to admit he's not impartial enough to be Attorney General, and he ought to resign. At the very least, he needs to end the partisan and hate-filled witch hunt on former President Trump, the taking of the House by the Republicans. I will say this, it's a good start. But until we get a change in the Senate and the White House, we might not see the kind of accountability that we must have. And we need it now.